Oh, wait. Don't look forward.
You don't even want a Craig?
Wait, no, I'm eating.
Why do you do this?
I was fucking hungry.
You had 45 minutes to eat.
But the tumbly, it rumbles, and I can't stop that. So am I hitting record right now?
Hello, good people, and welcome to the first Off the Deep End episode of what I'm going to call 2017-2. The sequel to 2017. We're back, baby. We got nothing but bangers coming out at the beginning of this year. And speaking of bangers, we have a banger of a podcast in that we've been spending the last 2 months avoiding the topic of this podcast. I'm your host, Brayden Arbitrary Water Redacted, the lecturer about how I miss mom and pop used game stores. Joining me, as always, is Chris Zombie Pie Redacted, the lecturer about Gnostic imagery.
Yeah, I think my lecture back in the day was about Jungian psychology and its ubiquity in Japan, but, you know, I'll take that.
The Jungian psychology expert. And then joining me, as used to, is Jeff Rud, the lecturer about anti-Semitism in Japan.
Hi, Gila Kasla, Mulan Klassen Nietnamuk.
If you hear loud thumping noises, it's because I forgot to edit out any noise made by my nephew jumping up and down right above me.
If you hear loud mouth smacks, it's because I'm eating a Costco chicken bake right now.
Oh, a chicken bake? You eat a Costco chicken bake? Because you're just a Costco I'm thinking guy. About
music.
All right, this is an off-topic thing. I've spoiled this to Brayden, but I have something to say to Jeff.
Fine, go for it.
I was guesting on a one Gino That Pinguino Grieco's live stream on the twitch.tv/thatpinguino.
Okay.
And he said something that made me want to turn into dust. Like, actually, to just turn into ash. Thanos, finger snap, just get me off this existence. Just, I can't do this.
What's a Thanos?
So he was playing a game where the title of the game was something zillions. And so I see this, and I make a joke about Zillion. You know, the classic anime OVA to video game enterprise done by Sega. I was not surprised to find out that Gino did not know what Zillion was. I was expecting that. And so I'm explaining what Zillion was. You know, kind of like one of the examples of anime video game tie-in stuff. Right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Sure. One of the first. And then I mentioned that it was on the Sega Master System, to which Gino says, "What's a Master System? Is that like a Genesis? Is that just a different Genesis?"
Yeah, look, I
wanted to die.
I can't sit in this web forum and tell anybody that I owned a Sega Master System or even saw one until I was in my 20s.
So you're not South Korean or Brazilian, I guess?
Yeah, let's go with that. I did not grow up in the mid 80s and have, I don't know, weird Tonka employees as parents or something. But I'm not going to butt that. I don't know. Gino doesn't have to know that because he has to know more important things, right?
Like what?
Like
which
what
card combinations to use?
Like Drew Holiday's rookie stats.
He doesn't know that, so though. He replaced it with Magic the Gathering instead.
I see. I don't know. Far be it from me, given the lifestyle choices I have made in the last 18 months. I'm not going to critique anyone's lifestyle choices. Because let me tell you, it's been
I
weird.
know what's in that hole. I know what's in that brain hole, that gray matter.
Yeah.
Jeff, tell me about the SG-1000.
It's fine, you know. That there are a handful of okay-ish arcade-ish ports on that
So
thing.
you're coming back when we do Black Onyx then, right?
I'm here now. You know, but
You
one of the
know,
nice things about animals like dogs is they don't have a concept of the future. They just live in the present. And I think we should be grateful for the present, you know?
okay.
But yeah, there you go. We're all getting old. We're
We're
gonna
all
die.
getting old. We're all going to die. Everything is ruins.
Oh well,
Yeah.
no. Maybe to solve our problem, we take a bunch of supplements and inject our own children's stem cells into our bodies. It works.
You
It's working
can't.
out for that other
You
guy,
can't
right?
keep mentioning that fucking guy to me because I know if I looked into that guy too much, I would turn into the Joker.
There
And
seems like there's a
I
lot of
already have
internet out
enough.
there, man.
I have enough in my life. I have to deal with you.
Also, let's do the plugs. I've been distracting you from
Anyway,
that.
you can support us at patreon.com/deep listens. You can give us $1 to join our Discord, where we engage in such fun and fanciful interactions as Path of Exile 2 talk and me talking about my weird ass roommate who made rap parodies with sock puppets.
That is, honest to God, some of the darkest stuff I can think of.
Yeah, I've done some
I
dark things on our Discord, but what you shared about your roommate was truly distressing. I feel bad for you, Braden.
yeah.
It was not a good semester. Well, I was done. I was done with school at the time, but I was still hanging around college town foolishly looking for work. But yes, that living situation very quickly became untenable in a way that led to me like anger sleeping on the couch in the living room of that apartment.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
My
If you pay $3, you can listen to the Oji-san cast, a podcast where me, Christopher, and one Peter Busby talk about anime, Japanese animation, they call it. I don't know if they have that up there in the People's Republic of Canada, but Boogie Pop Phantom. If you like Y2K energy and peak Madhouse combined with asynchronous storytelling,
Yep. A, B, C plotting.
if you want to have part B of the plot before part A, please watch Boogie Pop Phantom and we'll talk about it on a podcast that you can listen to if you pay us $3 American. Furthermore, good listener.
right.
If we get to 50 patrons, with Oji-san cast patrons counting for 2, we will play Lunar Dragon Song for the Nintendo DS, a game so bad that everyone I know, even the JRPG sickos, are like, it's one of the worst things I've ever played.
It killed a franchise.
I mean, is Lunar a franchise when it's just 2 games being remade over and over again?
Sure. I mean, kind of.
Kind of. But yes. Instead, I come to you from the dark future of the year was 2020. It was a bad time for everyone involved. But I was given a stimulus check by Uncle Sam. What did I spend that stimulus check on? Why, a bunch of random PS2 games. And now, the $130 mistake I made all those years ago comes closer and closer to roosting with our current game, Xenosaga Episode 2, Jenseits von Gud und Böse, which means Beyond Good and Evil. The sequel to Xenosaga Episode 1.
So let's not bury the lead here. We didn't like this.
It came out in the year 2004, June 24th, 2004 in Japan, and February 15th, 2005 in the United States. It also is the only Xenosaga game to have come out in Europe, bafflingly. It is made by Monolith Soft, not to be confused with Monolith Software, the makers of Blood and Fear, and that Wonder Woman game that will never come out.
Oh, yeah. The state of Monolith, let's say, is in a weird spot,
WB
right?
is probably, yeah. Anyway,
Warner Brothers is getting Zaslav.
yeah, it is this, yes. So, we didn't like this game. None of us finished this game. After so many years, we finally played the sequel to Xenosaga, and it made us sad.
Incredibly sad.
It made me sad.
And I've been kind of like thinking about some of the things that Jeff has said
Yeah.
on our private DM system on Discord. And I've been trying to think about why exactly I think this doesn't work. And like the first moment when I boot this game up and something felt off, I thought it was like within like 30, 40 minutes into the game, which is just like the intro cutscene and maybe the first bit where you control a character. So the big thing that off-put a lot of people, and I'm actually going to throw my lot in with those people, they changed the character designs.
They changed the art style from a more stylized anime look to a slightly more realistic, quote-unquote, looking design. And it took me a while to realize what it was triggering in the back of my head, and then I realized, oh, it's the same character design methodology as Xenoblade X. It is, everyone kind of looks like a haunted doll now.
And when it was a bit more, let's say, traditionally anime-esque, I think that the, dead eyes and maybe the less emotive faces, you can kind of get away with it because of the cartoony framing of it.
And it was 2002.
And it was 2002. This coincides with the second game in this series. The first game being like zany anime hijinks, and we loved it. To this being the dark middle chapter.
And also,
the budget got cut.
The budget got cut. So
and that part we'll talk more about later, but it's a real triple whammy of sorts in that clearly this studio wanted this to be a longer franchise, and they lost that right after the first game and halfway into or some way into the production of this game. They changed the character designs for what I think is for the worse. And this is the dark middle chapter of now a cobbled together trilogy that was supposed to be like 6 games. Mm-hmm. And so it is the awkward teenager of this series, and it feels that way within the first hour.
Yes.
I mean,
so Jeff, yeah.
God, like, I don't know when the last time, like, okay, so some of this is colored by things that when you boot up a game. I know this is a JRPG, right? Like, duh. there's like an expectation of some length in here. I know approximately what kind of proper noun laden gibberish I should anticipate going into this, having played about 90% of the game prior to this, all told, by the way. I'm going to say, like, within half an hour of turning this on, I was exhausted in a way that I didn't know I could feel. The sense I was sitting on a menu screen on this game, just staring at it, just wondering, just I had this feeling of like, really, like this is what this hobby is. Like, I was trying to imagine, there's like a horror moment that someone described, I think it was on the OSW wrestling podcast, of like a parent coming in while they're watching wrestling, and it was some, perfectly, woman being degraded level, cheesy, horrible shit. And their parent was just like, and you like this stuff, huh? Oh, I was trying to imagine that happening, like someone coming in, seeing this game be the way it is, and be like, and you like this? This is what video games are like, and having to be like, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know anymore, man.
Jeff reviewing this game for X-Play, being like, these wacky Japanese cutscenes with their anime. I mean, don't know about this.
Look, my threshold for as someone who wants to finish watching Mononoke pretty soon, like the original run of it, and enjoyed Evangelion, and frankly enjoyed the first Xenosaga game, and enjoyed a lot of Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like, I'm very excited to replay that. My threshold for this company's specific brand of bullshit, pretty high. I think somewhere along the way, it got me thinking about maybe one of the nice innovations in like the Xenoblade Chronicles games is just like combat is at least in real time, or some sort of approximate real time-ish metaphor, as opposed to this now.
I think the other thing that Xenoblade does is this game starts. So I'm not going to go into the full plot yet because there's a lot to talk about. But this game starts with a like in medias res flashback sequence.
Yeah.
Featuring one new character and one returning character who is not the main character. And they just start throwing out proper nouns, and it took me a second. It took me like a good 5 minutes to try and cobble together from the dusty corridors of my ADHD adult brain to go, okay, what the fuck? Okay, Utic are the bad guys, and the Udu is like some sort of ancient spiritual force, and the Zohar is the ancient monolith. Monolith soft, get it? And and it was alienating. And I don't think I entirely hate it, because it's still like, yo man, they weren't making shit like this even on the PS2 with like the fucking giant robots cutting shit in half. But it feels bad, man. It made me sad.
So the backstory in terms of why this is the weird, awkward one is the fact that the original creator of this franchise, whose name is Tetsuya Takahashi,
he is still the head of Monolith Software.
And even the co-founder of Monolith Soft. He decided to step down as director, and the strategy or play was, I'm going to hand episode 2 to a completely new team. They will start immediately after we release episode 1, so I can start work on episode 3, because we got to make 6 games.
And then Namco was like, no, you're not.
And it was basically the person who had made the Xenosaga series And even like Xenoblades, because that's the way, or Xenogears.
Yeah, Xenogears.
Like the Xeno meta series, whatever you want to call it. He didn't touch this game very much because he was in it for the third game. And so he took the A team, and I think it's very obvious that this was the B team. And you can tell that with a couple of things. First off, tonally, this game just feels off. It's trying to be a bit darker, and then your first like second Militia song and the J-pop starts playing, and it feels fucking weird. And then you see the new character designs, and I'm shocked, Braden, that you are a fan of the character and you didn't bring it up. Cosmos has a new voice.
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil that, but so some of the voice actors are still the same. It's, still a bunch of LA-based voice actors who were basically in, if there was an anime thing in the early 2000s, they were probably in it. Richard Epcar, still the voice of Ziggy, who doesn't have anything to do in this game. But yeah, they've recast Cosmos, and it's an immediate jarring negative choice. Because instead of sounding like dispassionate robot woman, they clearly told her, just do an anime voice.
Which doesn't fit the character and
No.
what we've seen of the character at all.
She's like, Shion, I'm going to fuck shit up. And Shion's like, no, Cosmos, I order you not to. And then she's like, I'm sorry, Shion. I have to fuck this shit up. And then she shoots a laser out of her womb and kills all of the interdimensional aliens.
And then, of course, the other big change is the gameplay, which
so there is an attempt here, and I think what I came away from in the time I played this, there is an attempt here to streamline the combat in a way that I feel like maybe bore a little more fruit when they got to Xenoblade and just said, let's make it MMO light plate juggling stuff. But it's not there yet, so it's just kind of basic and boring, where it's just like, all right, do these handful of combos over and over and over again. Like, I don't think episode 1's combat is especially stellar. I think it has some level of consideration to it, but it's not exemplary in a field that was drowning in menu-based JRPG combat. Like, there's some stuff with like the boost system and being able to interrupt and all of that stuff, but you have to hit enemy weaknesses, but you just have to kind of guess until you see what the combo is that does the most damage to their weakness.
I mean, the end up with the actual battles, I think there are other things that are problematic in terms of the gameplay. The actively bad thing about this is the stock break burst system, and that basically guarantees that you spend the first several turns doing nothing, like sometimes no damage, just trying to figure out, okay, what's the thing that does meaningful damage to this enemy tab. I guess I'm going to take notes so as that I always do the most optimal thing. And once you figure things out and you find out what the optimal move set is with every enemy, the game becomes hilariously busted in that there's nothing that really is, other than maybe a handful of bosses and the pray tell usual insta-kill killing or insta-death killing bullshit. But
yeah. And like, I don't know if that's necessarily bad, because that's just JRPGs, baby. Like, if you are handed so many different combat options across these games, even all the way back to like Dragon Quest, and generally speaking, like, you can break them down into pretty basic puzzle logic. Like, there are enemies that are weak to fire. It makes zero sense to throw like ice cubes at them. Like, you are just there's an optimal path to like every fight, period. But that's only fun for so long. Like, and when there's 47 different combinations, like, I don't know. Yeah.
It works well with boss fights, but when you apply the whole, like, this encounter is actually a puzzle to every regular encounter,
Yeah.
it just becomes, oh, I guess I'm going to have to pull up a spreadsheet to figure things out. Oh, wait, I forgot the character that has that move. So now I'm just fucked.
Yeah.
And
this is why Pokemon's bad, actually, by the way.
And Jeff,
Just kidding.
the other thing that's a problem is that the designs of the dungeons in this game are fucking bad. Like the amount of backtracking you have to engage in, like flicking switches and going back here to push a button and going back to this closed door or locked door all the way at the beginning of the level. Like, I don't know how far everyone else, but maybe the worst offender of this, like, oh, I gotta go all the way back and explore these previously explored arenas was the Ormus Stronghold. And it's not just the fact that the combat is puzzly. It takes forever to build up enough resources to do or unlock things or get things that are meaningful in battle. Like, you have to do some weird crafting mechanics, which I know we barely talked about it, but the first game does have that card system that unlocks special resources and cool things. But you
based on the initiative order. Yeah.
You do need to engage with side quests in this game a whole lot more, because I guess the solution to, well, we kind of are being forced to make fewer games than we wanted, and we didn't actually have the full plot figured out. So let's just put in the traditional JRPG stuff here. And they didn't know what they were doing.
And it's like, we didn't really mention this, but this game's economy is odd in the sense that it doesn't really do stores. Like
No.
The purpose of money in this game is kind of just a weird mini game. Like B plot to the game. It's not a conventional JRPG, you know, again, just like pretending that everything just needs to be Dragon Quest, I guess. It doesn't do that. It doesn't do the typical go to dungeon, get money, go back to town, buy stuff loop. Like it never even really tries that. Which is, I suppose, a bold choice, I guess.
And I don't necessarily think that is what burned me. It's the fact that it's not very transparent about the way that it inverts your expectations in terms of how it doesn't engage in the traditional tropes and idioms of the genre. It's like, okay, so there's no standard economy. Where are the where do I get stuff? And it doesn't explain that to you very well.
It's very interesting to see the ways they tried, the ways that feel like them attempting to streamline, you know, JRPG stuff and focus more on the batshit cutscenes, and how much of that also feels like, oh, we need to cut corners because we're only making 3 of these.
So how far did everybody get?
I got to the part where you need to go into Momo's matrix brain.
Oh.
Yep, that's about as far as I made it too.
I got farther than everyone else.
Yes, here's the thing. I promised the audience at home, I will finish this game when we get to Xenosaga 3 in approximately 1 to 5 years. Assuming the oceans have not boiled over and we are not fighting our neighbors for survival in a water-starved land, we will play all 3 Xenosaga games, and I will finish all 3 Xenosaga games. But I don't want to play it right now.
Yeah.
I got to the part where there was a really long cutscene. Also, we'll talk about that. Where Albedo opens the way to Militia or Milita, and then the Federation UTIC and the immigration fleet have a space battle over control of this hidden Zohar planet.
Yeah.
And then Braden's like, I really just want to talk about this game and move on because we've got plans. And it's so, man, we made an entire category for Xenosaga
Post
1.
most.
The anime crank is not at 11.
It's at like a 7, sometimes a 9.
Like there is nothing in this game as wild as even the third wildest thing that happens in that first game.
No.
Remember when Albedo rips off his own head to torture Momo?
Yeah.
Remember when Momo was a character?
Yeah. Remember when Momo did things?
Not just a plot device for the Y data, basically.
Yeah.
She's basically just a USB stick.
Yeah.
But for lolly people,
Yeah.
can I say that? Anyway,
You need to listen. If you make an anime JRPG set in space, you are legally required to have at least one lolly.
I'll keep that in mind when I don't make anime.
Yeah, well, listen, when you get your next job at the newly reformed Tri-Ace, making Star Ocean 7.
Yeah, because that's totally going to happen.
Because Tri-Ace is definitely still a company that is intact and has employees and
that are doing things.
Tri-Ace deserves better.
Yeah.
Listen, someone I know who may or may not guest on this podcast at some point called Star Ocean 6 the most middling video game I have played in my entire life. But on the other hand, Lightning Returns.
Yeah. They deserve better than that, right?
Yeah.
They do.
But yeah, let's
talk about the story.
Let's just get into it. So this game starts bang, cold open into 17 years in the past.
Yeah,
during the Miltia incident, featuring a brand new character named Kanan, who is he's a Realian, which
naming.
Yeah, which as we may remember, Realians were the robot people who are biomechanical in some way. And named Kanan, and he is joined by a co-pilot named Chaos. Remember, Chaos is spelled lowercase c.
Very important.
Very important. He's definitely not any sort of religious figure. And I just have written in my notes, you don't mess with the Zohar / who do you udo, bitch. Because that's me.
Bring who do you voodoo into this conversation? It doesn't
You're
deserve
welcome.
to be dirtied by this game.
People love Dead Island.
I do like Dead Island. I like the concept of Dead Island, but I like Dead Island.
Yeah, and then also, very quickly, you're introduced to Xian's older brother, Jin, and you basically get to see the inciting incident for multiple characters in the story, which was when the robots went crazy and there was an incident with the Zohar and something false flag, something Gnostic bullshit, and also the little boy men. Because Here's the secret about Xenosaga 2. Xian Uzuki is not the main character of Xenosaga Episode 2. Cosmos is not the main character of Xenosaga Episode 2.
She's on the box.
The main character of Xenosaga Episode 2 is Junior.
Mm-hmm.
AKA Little Boy Man.
Who's Rubido?
Yeah. Yes, Rubido, Albedo, and Negrito, who is Gainem.
Yeah. And don't worry, there's no other Christological associations that are going to be
No.
crudely lashed onto these characters
No.
very
Mm-mm.
soon. They're the four horsemen. Um,
Nothing about the
Four Horsemen
apocalypse.
No.
They're the freaking four horses game so goddamn tough.
I love video games. But once you're done with that flashback sequence, it picks up basically where the first game ends. With the main characters getting onto second militia. Militia?
Miltia.
Even they oscillate between how to pronounce it correctly, so whatever. It is.
Yeah.
What it is.
But Xion doesn't have glasses anymore. She looks terrible. She's not glasses girl. Why would they do that to me?
The way they go about that is so dumb. Like, they stepped on them. Oh, that's it. We live in a universe with magical Jesus robots and like faster than light travel apparently, or like functionally space magic. Can't just like fabricate glasses.
No.
Impossible.
No. But yeah, I would describe this game as having a little bit of the sequel problem of everyone's back and we don't know what to do with half of them. Like, Xion and Cosmos are still obviously important to the plot. Momo, they tried to download the data that is in Momo's brain, and then it turns out that her brain was trapped by albedo.
I mean,
so
he did do stuff with his head. Maybe he did get to her head.
Yeah. And so the second dungeon, you may recall in the first game, you went into the brain matrix to learn about Xion's trauma. And the same is true in this game, except you go into the brain matrix to get Momo, and then Momo is never relevant again.
It's so this game's trying to introduce a new core cast of characters that are of great importance here versus in the previous game.
Yeah.
The way that they go about practically discarding characters from the first game is such a weird.
And
weird
Kanan is meant to be like the new. It seems like he's the character who is. People are. He has real Poochie the dog energy, honestly.
Yeah.
Was my feeling on Kanan. Where it's just like, okay, we're adding a new character, and he has secret past relationships with everyone else, even though he was never mentioned in the previous game. But, he was there.
Yeah. Also, I think Xion's brother kind of suffers from some of this as well. Just like,
he was mentioned at least.
Yeah, I know, but
it's
like, okay, but he wasn't important enough to show me.
No, Jin wasn't important. So yeah, those are like the two main new characters, and I think they're lame.
Yeah, they're not great.
Chris, you played more of it than I did. What else happens?
Well, you get a lot of weirdly slow dungeons. You get a lot of really frustrating encounters. Like I said, of all the things, the part of the game that is actually easier in this game versus the first one is when you go up against a boss battle, because everything is basically a puzzle. When you just know what the optimal strategy is, you just one-shot bosses unless they're just putting a bunch of ads in the field. So the music in this game, so the music's bad. It's a bunch of J-pop, and it's really generic J-pop.
It's J-pop, or it's the chanting, and it feels like a step. Once again, feels like a step down. They weren't affording the London Philharmonic to do the cutscenes in this one.
And then there are weird sequences where They're combat vehicle-ish sequences.
Yeah, where you are in the eggs.
Which there were eggs and mechs in the first
Yeah.
game, but they were kind of a superfluous way in which you could just murder whatever was in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I invested in eggs. You two did not. You're fine not investing in anti-gnosis weapon
But
systems.
the way that they use eggs in this game are vehicle sequences.
Yes.
And these control like garbage.
And also they're trivial.
They are, sometimes I feel like it's that Mario Party meme where Luigi wins by doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident if I hadn't even moved the analog sticks, things probably would have gone well. But so the big recurring villain in this game is a space pope. Did you get to
Yes.
Space Pope? Patriarch
Yes.
Sergius the 17th?
Some of that, yes.
Mhm.
Okay. And did you also have some run-ins with Fibronia, which you may recall from the first game is like a weird spirit ghost lady?
I think that was after I stopped playing.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those that don't remember, it's Fibronia is the character. I'm trying to think how to explain this. She was with Nephilim Verum, and she
Okay.
forces, in the first game, she forced Xion to confront her past, which takes the form of the evil Gnosis Tiamat. She was
Yes.
the ghost girl that forced the Tiamat battle.
Okay.
In this, she's trying to give you hints about how to kill evil Space Pope. Cosmos pulls a gun on her, and you find out that I'm so sad that you didn't see this. The big reveal in terms of what she is such a plagiary of Genova, like what she looks like.
Okay.
The way that she looks, she's basically like a half-dead corpse with a bunch of tubes coming out of her mouth, and
Okay.
it says Catherine on the bottom, which is her real name.
Okay.
And she looks like goddamn Genova, but the twist is, though she is a horrible-looking abomination on life support, she's good.
Oh.
Clever.
And so, yeah, a lot of this plot revolves around Junior, though, which is the real bummer. And the villain is Space
Albedo.
Pope. No, it's Patriarch Space Pope Man, and also Albedo. Two characters that I thought, we had what's his bucket like staring ominously at his little contraption. I thought something would come of that. No. Like we had all I rewatched the ending of the first game. Like everything that game built up as like the natural continuation there. And Cosmos has her emotions, or at least understands them. Xion is more confident. And in fact, we have a lot of reverting back to where the characters were like halfway into the first game, so as that they can have those kind of heroic cycle-ish moments again. And that's the part that I really don't like, is like to see these characters kind of revert. But yeah, I guess this is the thing. Let's talk about Junior.
Let's talk.
In the first game, he's a little boy man. He's a space pirate of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And he has his best friend / brother / partner.
I mean, his full name is like Gai Nagun Kukai Jr., but Junior, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Kukai Foundation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And they were all, I forget the fucking abbreviation, but they were all basically bioweapon child soldiers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Clones?
I don't know if we know that.
Baby daughter clone, ? No, that's a different game.
We know that Utic is bad. They're not actually the good guys. But we also know that everyone else is not good. The Free Fleet is kind of the closest thing. The second militia is kind of the government is evil, UTIC is evil. The second militia is probably good, though they get framed for something, which is the inciting action for Junior to go on this quest.
Yes.
And then, it's just so weird that Albedo ends up becoming like a huge figure because he felt like a dweeb in the first game. He
was like a secondary villain.
Yeah.
He was always a dude doing other people's bidding, right?
Yeah, like oh, you're doing bad stuff for Margulis, but clearly you have your own agenda.
And now that's the whole that's the show now.
Yeah, now that's the
it's just him.
Is this what happened to Metal Gear Solid over time? Like
a little bit.
What like Liquid Snake just sort of like lived on the arm of the character that Kojima was like, actually, this Ocelot guy is way cooler, so I'm gonna make him like the primary antagonist. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't a thought, but it was words, you know?
So it seems like the thing that we all experienced was you need to find Momo, you go into the Encephalon, and Albedo captures Junior in the Encephalon, and we experience the history behind URTV units at the Yuriev Institute, which causes you, as Junior, Albedo, Guinan, and Citrine.
Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Guinan.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
And his relationship with Sakura. And we learn a little bit about Junior and the Yuriev Institute, but not too much because the game's not going to blow its whole wad.
Yeah, we're going to stretch
it. So
this game's 30 hours and it's still the shortest one in the series.
It was definitely weird where after all of that stuff happens on the Encephalon, like he just gets a call from his dad. It's like, hey, what's up, Dad? And it's like, oh, wait. Young child male protagonist has a functional relationship with their father? What the fuck?
We're subverting tropes, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
You know?
That was a genuine surprise and actually kind of a pleasant thing. It's like, hey, Dad, how you doing? It's like, hey, just want to tell you that Albedo seems to be doing some weird shit in Yudo again. Could you do something about that? It's like, yeah, what do you want me to do? Kill him. I think he says, like, eliminate the target, and then just hard cuts to black. It's like, well, I guess my dad told me to kill a dude. This is, love you, Dad. And your dad gives you a mission to murder Albedo. And while that happens, we go back to the B plot, which involves Xian and her friends. There's we have
Alan,
basically two
who
parties.
Is normal
so
man.
Who's in team Xian? Yeah. Who's in team Xian? Braden.
I mean,
or
so
Jeff?
Alan, your boy Ziggy's kicking around.
Yeah.
God.
Chaos
is there. Momo is there. Momo's there? This is before Momo. Yeah. The happened with Momo.
No. Yeah.
God.
And then
Alan's there.
Cosmos.
I'm just so offended by Alan's mere presence. As
you need a normal guy. Alan is the Carthonasi of this game.
Yeah, but he barely does the like things that the Carthonasi does. Like, what this game needed is an isekai-esque character inserted into it to just occasionally, for those at home who are playing this 30-hour long saga, be like, wait a minute, I forgot. So can you explain Yudo to me real quick? Like real quick? Every once in a while.
That
could have been him. He could have had a job.
It took me looking into this to be like, oh right. The Yudo is like basically
internet, but also it's your consciousness.
And also it's God.
And also, it's God.
And it's driving
Yeah.
the dark energy problem, basically. The chaos, not chaos, but
The Gnosis.
The Gnosis, yes.
Yeah, by the way, there's still
Plague.
the interdimensional space aliens in this game.
Even though it seemed like we had done a big dent on them, but I guess they're back. So we have that, and then Team Junior is, as Braden hinted, a good portion of the new characters that this game introduces, plus... Actually, it's mostly the new characters.
Yeah.
So, okay, moving on. So, Xion and her allies end up going to the Omega system, and then that's when we get our introduction to Evil Space Pope.
Yeah.
And then we find out that the plot twist with Albedo is basically Blade Runner. He is dying and is trying to find a way to avoid his robot body from dying.
Yeah.
And they literally... I'm not joking. Like, the big plot twist with Albedo is why he's the big thing is... It's literally Blade Runner.
It's literally Blade Runner.
And
have you considered that being a robot who is functionally immortal, but actually you'll die one day?
And then Junior enters this, they keep saying the word anomaly, hoping to either, like, kill Albedo or to stop him from being crazy. But Albedo finds a way to manipulate or change the anomaly to cause Junior to go crazy and have neuroses while he's in the anomaly, and he's daring him to kill him, which is what your dad wants you to do, but Junior is conflicted about killing Albedo.
I can fix him.
And then we have our first real beautiful moment in this game. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Sakura sacrifice herself to save Junior.
Mm-hmm.
And then, did you see the stuff with, like, Rubido? She does the Christ pose while he's screaming, "Why? Why did Sakura die?" And then she's like, "Don't be afraid, I believe in you." Did you see this scene, Jeff?
This.
Okay, I guess,
Yeah, I feel like we've jumped ahead from the
well, I cut out the Xion stuff.
Well, there's the Shio, but then did we skip Momo's memory getting shattered?
Yeah, we have to go into the
Momo
brain
gets
matrix.
brain fucked.
And the hacking of Albedo hacking into the facility, but then like being like, but I kind of failed. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so it's incoherent.
Okay. Listen, sometimes, traditional storytelling mechanics are overrated.
Oh wait, did that not work? Okay, sorry.
Yep, nope. Yeah, okay, I see this. Yeah.
So this is what I saw that apparently you two did not see.
Oh God! Wait, why are we saying we dislike this game?
So the person who sacrificed their life
she
actually goes into a Christ pose.
The Christus pose.
Yeah, with her vacant dead fish eyes too. That's powerful.
Yeah. So again, like the more realistic character models end up doing them no favors because they look so dead and uncanny that it doesn't work. Like, it just straight up does not work.
No.
But anyways, yeah, so Momo gets brain fucked, and it's actually another uncomfortable scene.
Yeah.
Like, Momo already was mentally and physically tortured in the first game for a cheap kind of, like, almost a
Look at how messed up the villain is.
Yeah, Albedo rips off his head, and he's, like, physically torturing her. And now they brain fuck her.
Yep.
And that's not cool.
Yeah. We're talking about a kid.
Yeah.
So let's be clear.
But also, she's a magical girl. Don't forget that.
Yeah, she's a dragon. She's 1,000. No, I won't let you see the
like she
drawings of
literally
them.
uses like a magical girl bow. That's her
She
weapon.
yes, she does. It's a whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also prior to this, there's a dialogue between Ziggy. So there's some chats between Sakura's mom. Momo's like a weird clone of the daughter of, oh god, her name's not Sakura, this mother. She has a separate conversation with
Yeah.
Ziggy about having resentment about basically having to raise kids that aren't hers. And
Yeah.
he's like, just pretend you're a different kid. Like
Yeah. It's that
very
easy.
simple solution. And prior to that, Guinan has a conversation with this individual whose name is now just gone from my head because there's a lot of other things going in.
There are a lot of names in this game.
And
Some of which
he's
I've
like,
forgotten.
hey, you aren't smiling at her correctly to simulate a maternal relationship. I think when you smile at people, including me, it should be a genuine smile because it's like better for their brains, basically. Very normal conversation to be having, basically.
Are you telling me a combat android giving you parenting advice wouldn't be similar?
That's fair.
No, he's a cyborg, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, but he looked like a man. A little man.
He a man with robot parts.
He looked
He's a
like a
guy.
man.
He's
As
not a
opposed to
car.
being a robot that looks like a person.
He looked like a man.
Like Cosmos. By the way, Cosmos is in this game.
Yeah, she's here. All the stars are here. Beardy man.
She's on the cover of the game.
That's what I said earlier. They've taken the lady who made a robot gun come out of her tummy and killed like a gazillion space whales at once and have relegated her to like third fiddle to the weird boy man child horseman. The horseman stuff has come up already at this point too, right?
Yeah, by the way, the little boy men are the horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Or something. By the way,
we're doing a great job.
This series is still about Gnostic bullshit and the Christian apocalypse. Don't worry about it.
I'm sure it'll all tie up nicely.
I'm sure it will all tie up nicely in a bow in Xenosaga 3.
Yeah, as they're, rapidly throwing away some of the train tracks they were planning to lay down in 5 years.
Listen.
Yeah.
Monolith Soft was worth mentioning. Monolith Soft was also working on a game for Nintendo at the same time.
Yeah. You may have heard
called
of it.
Baten Kaistos.
Yeah.
A game you can now buy on Steam.
Wait, that got a Steam port too?
Yeah, you can buy. Yeah, the HD version of Baten Kaitos
now on Steam and easily, readily accessible.
And I knew
also
that was a
the
Switch release, but
no longer need to pay GameCube aftermarket prices anymore.
That's right. Okay. You two at home can play
Gino's favorite
Wings in the Lost Ocean, or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
it's the one with cards. So
it's
I'm
the one with
not
cards.
Gonna go.
Don't worry. If we make anyone play that game with us, it will be Gino.
Yeah.
Who will hate it.
Yeah, I'd pay for that content.
You two at home can pay.
Yeah, there's a Patreon. So yes, they're the horsemen. There's bad parenting advice. There's sacrifice. There's the memories of a little girl that have been shattered into a million pieces and have to be reassembled because that's the Y data. And as you know, or if you don't, you'll be reminded that's important because
that was the MacGuffin in the first game, I think.
Yeah.
It's been it's been 4 years since I played that game. A lot has happened.
I mean, so that's the location of Milsha, or that's the location of the Zohar?
It's the Milsha is where the Zohar was, and then it got extra dimensional out of space time.
Okay,
and then
so this is
just spoilers. The later middle plot twist is that you want to find that planet all over again, and you
Yeah.
end up causing it to reappear, and then all of the factions come together to do a giant space battle to get on that planet first.
Some good middle chapter stuff.
Yeah, like,
and there's
how much worse is this game if you replace some of these terms with map? You know?
Yeah.
Okay, hear me out. So,
Yes.
Lassie. Okay.
Okay. No. All right. I'm good.
So Falsi are the robot gods that give you quests, and if you don't do the quest, you turn into a Seath, which is like a weird crystal monster. But if you do your task as a Lassie, you turn into a crystal.
Gotcha.
Gino Grieco says Final Fantasy 13 is the worst game he's ever played.
I mean, Gino Grieco should be aware that Albedo's full name is Albedo Piazzolla. He's a paisan, my guy.
Oh no!
Stop making Gino like this game.
Once again, I promise our listeners that should we play Xenosaga Episode 3 anywhere between the next 1 to 5 years, because I ain't gonna name that one. I thought about getting it all done this year. I'm not gonna. I will play through this game.
Hey, so Space Pope, who looks less like a Catholic Pope and looks more of like an Orthodox Pope, like a patriarch from the Orthodox traditions. I don't know if you got to this part. So he runs this religion known as the religion of Ormus, which is like originated in stuff. Hey, maybe some Jesus stuff there, right?
So you're saying perhaps a mix of Christian and Jewish mysticism into some sort of spiritual mush?
So anyways, it turns out that UTIC is actually run by the evil religion.
Oh, wow.
So it's one of Sergius's and Ormus's dummy corporations and contacts. And his whole plan is to unlock Old Militia, retrieve the original Zohar, and then to retrieve the Proto-Omega.
Yeah.
These are real words that are said.
Yeah.
The Proto-Omega is a mech suit that looks like some sort of Super Sentai power armor thing.
Yeah, it does.
It's gold. And, yeah. You know, I mean, this game's always had mech suits, but...
Monolith Soft is here if you need your video game to be about existentialism, robots, and God. Always all three.
Yeah. So
sometimes in the same combinations.
So yeah, Albedo gets Momo's Y data. You go to Labyrinthios and you infiltrate it with Shion's party. Building's fine. It's got a bunch of spider shit all over it, like web shit. And that's where we have to do some like weird investigation as to like Yudo is bleeding into our world. Whatever shall we do?
Yeah.
And that's when we find the Proto-Omega.
Yeah.
And yeah. So we didn't finish this game.
I didn't finish. Yeah, we didn't finish this game. And we're not doing a second episode on this because I want to move on with my life. We had a lot of shit that we had to deal with over the holidays. I played more Mass Effect Andromeda than I wanted to.
I finished Mass Effect Andromeda.
I finished it back in 2018. I'm fine. Or 2019. Whenever that game came out.
Yeah. This might be... All right, looking at our list...
Yes.
This might be one of the biggest disappointments we've ever encountered.
Yes.
During, Jeff, your time, your reign, and then even after this, like, when I think about games that we played that had, like, a level of disappointment, I think of... I know that this is always something that people push against, but we were not hugely enthused by Bahamut Lagoon.
No.
Yeah.
This game even exceeds Bahamut Lagoon in terms of how much it just...
I think
disappointed
the
us.
last time I picked a game and was like, oh no, I've made a mistake, was not Time and Eternity, which I no regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets. No, it was Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, because I remember I was like, oh man, it's gonna be great, and then it turns out no, it's guess what? It's a licensed game made in like 8 months, and you can feel it. Yeah, I think this game's a bummer. Do we want to just rank it?
Sure.
Do we have
Jeff,
any closing thoughts?
Do you have any closing thoughts? It's been a while since we heard from you.
Just an absolute crushing disappointment of a game. Like
I hear 3 gets back to the crazy.
Yeah, it turns up the craziness cranks.
Also, they got Cosmos's original voice actress back.
Which I guess makes the third game weird in that like they did a Disney Star Wars thing where they retconned the second part of this story.
Some of it sounds like.
And then I guess we're forgetting the fact, Braden, that technically we were supposed to watch the anime to lead into from 1 to 2.
Oh, right.
We were supposed to watch the anime, Braden. It talks
well,
about
if
all
only
of
we
these
had an
characters
anime podcast, Chris Zombie
Rise
Pie
to Power
Redacted,
that
where we could watch an anime.
Talk about, you know.
If only we had a monthly anime podcast one could pay $3 to listen to.
Anyways, there's also the fact that they retconned or rewrote the entire story and made a completely different experience on the DS game.
Yep. There's
Xenosaga 1+2 is a completely different game, apparently?
Yes!
Supposedly?
There's a translation patch for it. If you want to
really?
nominate that, we can.
I forget that never came out in the United States.
No, it never came out.
Oh, okay.
It was the last Namco game to come out from Namco prior to the Bandai merger in Japan, I'm pretty sure.
Ooh.
So late it might have the Bandai Namco sticker on it, I think. It was either so late that it got badged the one way, or it was so early on that it got badged the other. It was that Ace Combat Zero and Curious George, which they licensed. Those are like right at the end of the Namco as Namco times.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's fun fact. Anyway.
It is fun. Thank you for sharing it with me, Jeff.
Sick man. I have the list up.
Yeah,
I
you got it. Say it, Jeff.
So we still read this whole list?
No.
We still read the top 3, bottom 3.
Okay, at number 41, we have Ultimate. Wait. Oh, this is the NES version of Ultimate 3. I was like, when did you guys do that?
Yeah.
I remember when you did that. The top 3 on this list, as a guest, I'll read this. This says Might and Magic 6: The Mandate of Heaven. Followed by Genso Suikoden, which I think is a fighting game. And then Xenosaga Episode 1. Hey! It's Xenosaga Episode 1. Dervilles are mocked. That's this game. So it's probably right around there. It's probably it's the second one, so it should probably go right under. That would put it right above. Let's see, Etrian Odyssey for.
Read the bottom 3.
Down at the bottom. Which I'll note, that's entry 66 to 68 is Unlimited Saga, followed by Hoshio Mirohito, followed by the Clangor of Clangors, Descent to Under Mountain, by
that
Interplay.
Which should not have been.
Yeah, a real bummer of an experience, as I was made to believe.
There's video footage of me playing it and getting very sad.
So what? That's 6. So let's go to 34.
There's video footage of Cassidy playing it and getting very sad.
Well, but Jeff, you're back. Let's put it up against our usual barometer of starts.
Yeah.
Like good old times. Say it, Jeff.
Yeah.
Say the bit.
Say the line, Bart.
Say the line.
I don't
Is it better
remember.
than?
Oh, right. Where is Hybrid Heaven on here now? You know,
That's
Hybrid
second.
Heaven's
God
actually
damn it.
it's towards the
31.
middle there, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this yeah, not far from Bahamut Lagoon, a game we just talked about.
Say,
I'll say this, Bahamut Lagoon's at least doing something. I don't know, man, because like on the one hand, I do think that the anime hijinks in this game, they get there, but they are not as good as they were, and it is quite literally never as impressive to do something a second time. It just isn't. I take that if I have a similar list to this one that is just every game I've ever beaten, and very regularly it's like, yeah, I like the sequel to this game, but it's basically just that game again, so it loses like 100 spots like automatically. Like it's just not as good. With the exception being the recent Hitman games, because oh my god.
Okay, but what about Dead Space 2?
Yeah, every once in a while, like, you know, Dead Space 1, a pretty good game. Dead Space 2, you know, there's some stuff about the moon in that game that kind of really elevates it, I would say.
Yeah.
I think if you were to hold this against Bahamut Lagoon specifically, Bahamut Lagoon's at least doing something kind of novel, you know? I didn't love it. There's a reason
my
it's
feelings
down.
on Bahamut Lagoon have been doubled by my feelings on playing the original front mission.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
So I played the. We're not going to cover this for the podcast, but the original front mission was a reminder that late SNES era Square was doing a lot of cool novel stuff, and also all of those games, while interesting experiments, are complete messes mechanically.
Yeah.
The Front Mission 1 is a game that like actively encourages you to not specialize your units, but instead just have them all have the exact same loadout.
Yeah, just the fact that you can't really aim, like it just sort of randomly hits parts of the enemies alone.
It's just like, why would you ever use a single shotgun?
Exactly.
What?
Yeah, it's sort of
I mean,
flattened. Yeah.
You say that,
kind of
but
frustrating.
yeah, front mission is frustrating, but there's
Vibes are good, but
no more frustrating feeling when it's like, I put all of this effort into making you dragon, this powerful feature. Oh, you just ran into battle, you got surrounded, now you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck this. I'm out.
So,
but I mean, like, yeah.
I would say this game is better than Hybrid Heaven and Anachronox. Is it better than the PS2 version of Deus Ex?
Kind of has to be. Like,
yeah.
Is it better than the PlayStation port of Diablo?
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Okay, man.
Where's your line?
My line's gonna be Dragon Quest 1 and Monogatari, Megami Tensei.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not. You can maybe push me to put it above Biomotor Unitron, because the only thing that Biomotor Unitron has is that it's a Pokemon like that respects your time.
Yeah.
Half of it's just I think the Neo Geo Pocket Color is neat.
Yeah.
And also
and
those character sprites and enemy sprites were kind of cool.
Yeah, the way they cobble them together like that.
So I'll put it above Biomotor Unitron. I would have to hear an argument as to if it goes of Megami Tensei.
I think the line for me is probably below Megami Tensei 1, because even though Megami Tensei is like very much a rough first draft, it is still recognizable in so many ways as being that series.
Yeah, it's a fine. It's a remarkable first draft.
Okay, do we want this to be the new number 23 then?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So our new number 23, Xenosaga Episode 2, Jenseits von Gud und Böse, Beyond Good and Evil. Not the game that Ubisoft made, where you take pictures and there's a sequel that will never come out.
Never in a million years. I was thinking about all of the times that game has kind of been announced somewhat recently.
Yeah.
Like
I
that
wonder.
thing, it's never gonna ever exist.
No.
Like
no.
not in a snowball's chance in hell.
No, they're going to get bought by Tencent before then. Don't worry.
Yeah, like they made but what by all accounts is one of the best games of the year last year, according to like, you know, people who aren't exhausted with the Whip Spore format or whatever.
Yeah.
And they basically just shit canned that studio afterwards.
Yeah.
Like even the things that are hitting for them aren't doing it for them.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
so yeah.
Thankfully, this is not off the Ubisoft end, because it would just be me talking about how Far Cry 4 broke me in a very profound, fundamental way when I realized, oh, I don't want to climb these towers anymore.
But you got hope for Beyond Good and Evil 2, right?
No, I don't. The most interesting video game that Ubisoft has put out in the last 5 years for me is Mario and Rabbids 2. Which was also deemed a failure.
Yeah, that's like I don't even know what they want anymore.
That game is
like
fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Were
you a Splinter Cell person?
Did you like that? Yes. I think Chaos Theory is great.
Yeah.
I even really like Pandora Tomorrow. I think that game still holds up.
I'm interested in those are all backwards compatible on the old Xbox over there. I'd be curious to touch them.
The early
made them
one
free for a bit, yeah.
Yeah. Splinter Cell 1's definitely like very punishing. But Chaos Theory is a lot more flexible. And it just looks tremendous and has a very good soundtrack. And yeah, anyway, congratulations to our new number 23, Xenosaga Episode 2, Jenseits von Gud und Böse.
Yep, whatever. I thought you just speak the Sprachen, the German.
My Oma survived the war. Chris, speaking of surviving the war, it's your pick now.
Well, I feel like we've had our thunder taken from the main podcast one too many times, so I'm going to preemptively pick something that I know that Gino has talked about and Gino has wanted to play and discuss. And it is a Square Enix game that I would say is widely considered a banger, but it's not a Squaresoft game that is widely considered a banger, but has, let's just say, been problematically followed up on 2 occasions. That's right, everybody. My pick and the next game for this podcast will be none other than Parasite Eve.
Fuck yeah.
That of good music. And good.
That opera scene still is a banger.
You like
still the most
Tetsuya Nomura drawing people in real world outfits?
Oh man, I think that the opera house start to Parasite Eve is more metal than the start to Final Fantasy X, despite the fact that it has even a fucking metal song.
If you like gnarly, horrific mutation body horror.
Yeah. But don't look at what they did with the 2 games that came after it.
Yeah, just don't think about the sequels.
I think that second game was
If
you like
a Resident Evil clone rather than an actual
because they made it a mediocre Resident Evil. The Third Birthday seems like a travesty.
It's a crime.
Yeah. No.
Hey,
no love
what
lost
if we take this strong female character, and her health is the destruction of her clothing, so she's practically running around with her titty cleavage hanging out.
With boobs.
Sounds wonderful.
So anyways,
excited.
We're excited. Yeah. I'm picking Parasite Eve.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you fuckers get for playing Trials of Mana, you goddamn thieves.
I mean, we did play Final Fantasy Adventure as a joke against them. That game holds up. Jeff, that game holds up.
Final Fantasy Adventure surprisingly kick-ass for an early Game Boy game.
Yeah, I had fond memories of it.
Anyway, That'll be it for us. Thank you for once again returning to us, Jeff, from your
Not a
island
problem.
paradise.
It's an island.
Thank you for always being here, Chris, from your smoke-filled nightmare world.
You know, for someone that I consider your friend, you keep sending me awful, terrible bullshit that's meant to torture me. So
Thank you.
You know, I guess we're friends, right?
Yeah. And thank you, the listener at home. Thank you, SuperSex420, for doing our introduction and outroduction. Remember, there's no such thing as cheating in a single-player game. Maybe I should have done that to finish Xenosaga 2. Bye!